Just wait for a couple of minutes for the other folks to join in. Okay. Okay. I guess we can get started. In the room here, I have Xiaoling, Todd, and Kirk. And on the call, I have Elizabeth, Jeff and Yu Link, Nina, Stephen, Trevor. Have I missed anybody? Hello? Somebody just called in.
Yes, this is me. I know Nina.
Hi, Nina.
Hi.
Okay. So on the agenda today, I thought I changed this. Anyway, on the agenda today, we have updates on the action items, and we already did the discussions last week about the FAIR supplement data aggregator handling. Also had a discussion about that, so maybe Xiaoling can give a brief update about the DATs and what we have done a little bit. And if time permits, what we'd like to do is to have to review the repository list and go over the features for DataMed version 3 release. I mean, we have about less than a month now before we have to release, or at least get everything ready for testing. So mid-July, I think we'll have to do one round of testing, and that will give us enough time for fixing any bugs. So Jeff and I don't see Huni on the call, but Jeff and Elizabeth, can you please pass this on to Huni? We probably need some people who can test, at least 2 or 3 people from each site who can test DataMed
Okay.
for us. So Jeff, do you have some numbers for the reindexing with the updated NLP pipeline?
We've Barak has gotten the information from the this was over, I think he got me information when it was around 800,000 NLP runs. So the in terms of per record in milliseconds, it's, right now, with the NLP, because the NLP takes more time, is about 578 milliseconds per document. And there's a standard deviation of about 624 milliseconds, and that's because some of the documents are actually have a lot more text to process. So it really depends on how text-heavy, the records are. But so that's sort of, yes?
So we are running the NLP only on the title and the description fields, right?
Some record description may be longer than.
We're not doing it for the what is that? Dimensions field?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's being done for dimensions right now.
Yeah, no.
I'd have to check with Brock exactly what is configured, but I mean.
But from our end, the way we did it was for title and description, right?
From what?
For title and description.
Title,
So
I was title is description, both, yeah.
But there's a large variance in the descriptions, the size.
Right. So the reason I asked if we were running it on dimensions was whether it would help us kind of normalize some of the variables that are entered in dimensions, right? If at all we get a large number.
But I don't think, the question is if in the sources that are used to pull out the various terms, I'm not sure if we would have if we have a source that's mainly about measures. I mean, some of that might be in mesh, but not completely the way it's structured, probably.
Okay. So now that's completely done though, right?
I get one more from Brock.
I think there's like one or two very large sources that are still winding their way through.
Okay. So Jeff, so my next question will be for in terms of, I think I must have.
You modify the slide.
Yeah, I think I uploaded the wrong slides because I'm quite sure I modified the slides, but I don't see the modified slides. Let me just do it this way then. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do it this way because I don't want to go through all this. There you go.
Agenda on the fly.
So the next, I guess the question is how many, I mean within a month, are we going to really hit the number that we want? I mean, we were talking about doing at least 100 repositories, and currently we have what, 71?
70.
70 repositories that are completed.
Let's see, so.
Or do we want to talk about this?
There are about 9 or 10 in the pipeline right now.
Okay.
We discussed that we will break the OMIS-DI to multiple ones.
Right.
Then that may increase the number.
Sorry.
Right? We need to
Yeah, so are we going to be able to do that in time?
Splitting the omics DI should be pretty straightforward. So yeah.
Okay. So that's about what? 7 or 8 repositories, or even more than that, right?
I think
That's about
include.
it's about 7 or 8.
Yeah. And also, if we are going to split omics TI, then we would not pull in those that we are already pulling in natively, I mean, from the primary repository, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we ever made a decision on that, but that we could do that.
Okay. So that's okay. If we have 10 in the pipeline, and then we are a little close at least.
So we will have like 70, about 85 maybe, about.
85
9,
to
yeah.
19, yeah. Because I know Huni said that there were 3 from the, she sent me an email that there were 3, they went over the list of repositories and there are 3 that are probably doable from the Common Fund repositories list that we just updated. So I think if they do get to it and we get it indexed, then it would be nice. Also for the data type ontology, I saw that Alejandra has put up they've started a repository in GitHub, although I haven't had time to go in and see what's in there yet.
Perhaps that's something we could do on next week's call.
Yeah. And
hello, Anu.
Yeah, hi Alejandra.
Yes, I pushed a first version that contains an ontology that, well, I called it resource annotation ontology as, but I mean, the name, it doesn't matter. So, and then it's these 4 axes that we discussed last time. So, so it's process, information, material, and quality. And for each of those 4 axes for a description of a resource, considering its data types being a data repository or a data set, then we would aim at annotating at least with 1 term of each axis when relevant. So I can add more documentation, and also I will work on the spreadsheet that we had planned on this DATS 2.x spreadsheet that Jeff had created, because we had there one worksheet with the list of repositories, so I can put some initial annotations. And also it would be great if whenever you can, Jeff, to extract the annotations from what was it, TCGA, that had the categories. I mean, if we have some more of that information, could be helpful to make sure that the ontology covers everything that is in those resources. And in terms of next week, unfortunately, I'll be traveling, attending a meeting, so I don't think I'll be able to join, but I'll try to put as much information as possible in the repository.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. So the extraction of information from the repositories themselves, Jeff, do you think you would be able to get that information for Alejandra?
Yeah. I'll have Yuling's started that, and she'll have stuff by the end of the week.
Okay. So so that's work in progress then. For the schema.org annotations, thanks Alejandra, she sent out the mapping file, and based on that, Firat generated a script to automatically annotate our repositories. But right now, I mean our data sets on our pages. But right now, the way we have it is it's not in the production system yet. So we obviously won't see any results of this coming up. So one example is what's shown to you, and you can see on the, so if you go, okay, there you go. So we looked at it a couple of days ago, and this is just to show you that we've got the script and it has inserted the information that's required, or at least that we mapped. So once we have this implemented in the production system, I think we will see some hopefully some more traffic. But what we would like to do is to have some of the people please go in and test for us before we put it into the production. So Jeff, Alejandra, and Elizabeth, if you could have some folks go in and test on our development server and see if they can actually see this content on the landing pages for datasets, that would be great. They could randomly pick some and then let us know. So once we hear back from you, then we'll put it on the production server.
Should we be using the Google rich metadata tool to look at this?
The validator?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
There is, the Google structured data tool to test it.
Yeah.
Actually, we have that right.
Yeah, I think I might have. Yeah, there you see. We even tested it once. So yeah. So if you could, randomly test, each person could test about maybe 10 or so. And then if we don't see any obvious issues coming up, then we'll put it on the production server.
I've just logged in on ReadyTalk now. Do you mind sending round the link to the test server? I'm not sure if I might have it somewhere, but thank you.
Wrong one. Sorry. Let me. Just to let you know that I will send that out. Just to let you know, though, the login and ID is BioCaddy and BioCaddy still. But you still need a login and an ID to be able to get into the system. I can also give you the link to this. So I need to go there. So in the chat box, I have the links to both of them.
Yeah, thank you.
So maybe we'll wait until this Friday, end of this week, to hear back from everybody. And if we don't hear back anything, then we assume that everybody's tested it and it's all good. Okay. So, Xiaoling, do you want to talk about the DATS?
Yeah, so I write a script to check the first level of the field in our current 70 repositories, and I found two problems. One is that since the field name normalization has not complete yet. See, there's still some difference like dimension, data set distribution. So this kind of difference still exists. So, and the other problem is that some repositories metadata may want to take a look because only that repository have that field, only one. So I'm not sure if that because of that is the repository specific we have that field, or that we may want to do it in another field name. So this is the two problems I found, and then.
So just to illustrate what Xiaoling said, for example, you can see here we have alternate identifier in some repositories and alternate identifiers in another repository. Again, uppercase, lowercase issues are still there. And that's actually the major issue, I think.
Right.
Is this, can you send this sheet to Yuling as well?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. And I just look at the first level of the field names. I haven't checked the second level yet, so there may be still some problem in the second level. Because we have multiple curators to doing this, so.
So maybe there's not, yeah.
Yeah, so that is makes me to, if we want to transform the format to the that format, then it would be difficult.
Yeah, but most of these are fairly straightforward, just
To fix, right?
misses of the, yeah.
I think some of the things that, okay, so there were some fields which.
Yeah, and ClinVar actually has both alternate identifier and alternate identifiers for some strange reason.
Yeah, and that's also for the CIA, there's some field called VUID.
Yeah, no, but those aren't actually incorporated. Those should have been dropped.
So do we need to take a look at this and fix
Yeah,
it?
send us that spreadsheet and we can correct the.
Okay.
So for what we Xiaoling pulled out from links, is that because that particular field is there only in links and not in the other repositories that we are actually pulling it out?
Well, I think links is one of the only ones that specifically lists like primary cells and the iPSC cell line and things like that. So those they call them out specifically.
Yeah.
I think PDB might have protein. That I'm not sure about, but I mean, most of the others don't go into that depth.
I also was looking at import, and aren't import people actually pushing the data to us, Jeff? Didn't they do the mapping themselves?
And we were getting import from. Oh wait, I have to check. I think we're getting it from the newer feed that they'd set up.
Because I talked to John. He was at the workshop at NIH, and he was the person from import who actually did the mapping, and he said that some of the fields he wasn't very sure about, and maybe some of the discrepancies that we see here could be arising out of that as well. But anyway, I think, yeah, we'll send this out to you, and this would need to be fixed, right?
Yeah, this will be required when we want to order how to display the field name. It also required for when we want to do the search in advance, each field in the advanced search. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe we can have a discussion about looking at the list of repositories. I'd like to see if Huni is on the call. Yes. No. So if we look at our list of repositories that we have been following, Huni said of these, of the remaining of the Common Fund repositories, there are probably about 3 that are doable, and I think she's marked those here. Oh. So 4D nuclear. So she said, I think there should be one more. I think she said this is doable. The knockout mouse phenotyping. Jeff, is there anybody from your team that's actually, I mean, in addition to you, Ling?
And right now it's primarily Yuling, but I can because we've been working through getting some of the others sites brought into the central system. So, but we have to see what other ones from this list that we can attack once we've brought in those others that we discussed earlier, and do the splitting of omics DI and stuff like that.
Okay. I think a lot of them are kind of have not gone anywhere because of the fact that we haven't had very good response from the repository owners or the repository folks.
I mean, one we can check on again is Mendeley data, because they were working on a service, so we can check on Mendeley data. Because I thought they just announced that they were making that public like in the last month, so maybe they have fixed stuff.
And there are some people submit the repository to us. Will we do that?
So that's another thing. We had, I think, how many? 2 or 3 recent.
Yeah, 2 or 3. A total 50, right? Before, including the before. Yeah, so maybe 2 or 3.
So I think we've had recently 2 or 3, but I asked George if Sanda would look into that, because
2 or 3 of the. Sorry, I missed the.
So there were 2 or 3 recent requests for indexing by repositories, like the repository submission forms were filled out.
Right.
And normally the workflow was that Sanda would look at it and assign it, but I think that's not getting done, so I'll have to ping her. And I talked to George, and he said that I could contact her and ask her to take a look at it before anybody starts working it, so that it could get prioritized. So I'll send out an email to her to do that. And if possible, since we would have had a lot of information from the repositories. Maybe we could do those as well. This is all done, right? I think this is done. And yeah, I think that's about it. So, with regard to looking at the features that we want for DataMed version 3, Jeff, did you get in touch with the Lawrence Berkeley folks?
With the supplement?
Yeah.
Was it?
Not
No,
with
that
the,
was that was a pilot project.
supplement. No, not with the supplement, for the pilot project.
Let me hold on here. Let me. He was.
So also for the supplement, I guess you're going to be primarily doing the back-end integration, right?
Right, because that's all with
Based
the
on them.
identifiers, yeah.
Yeah. And since we're talking about pilot projects, actually for the 2 pilot projects that came out of the challenge, from the Emory team, we will have, or maybe, Kirk, do you want to just update?
So, well, we made I think I described last time, we sort of made a list of all the interesting features from all the teams and sort of triaged it. And we got ourselves down to a kind of a list of features that can be integrated more or less as largely as Xiaoling finds the time to do it. But we do have one of the student who led the Emory team as the developer for that is coming to do a visit for the week after. So that and they probably have one of the more interesting yet complicated methods. So it'd be kind of useful to have him here in person to help. They did like a machine learning approach to rank the results, which is something that can either be really useful or it can go really wrong. So it's good to have sort of someone on site. But beyond that, we're just sort of we have our list of features, and we'll see how many of them we can integrate.
Okay. And probably we'll also do some testing after we integrate each of the features, right?
No, that's like a month. Yeah.
So that will be tested against the benchmark that we already have. And then one of the features that we had talked about actually incorporating into DataMed version 3, but which probably may not happen due to time constraint, is generating or letting the users define their own repository list. This came out of a request that was put into GitHub, where there was a request to be able to search for common fund repositories only. So you would have essentially be searching across a subset of repositories. And we thought if we are going to do that, we might as well actually allow each of these users to define their own repository list that they could search over. But I think that's probably going to happen post version 3 release, since we won't have time. Also for reporting of broken links, Xiaoling has already completed that. So whatever's in green has been completed. So integration of challenge results, as Kirk just mentioned, is going to be an ongoing process. Not all of them may necessarily get integrated by the time we release version 3. The API is completed and the documentation is also completed, right? So just FYI, we need to send the documentation of the API to the Cedar folks, or at least put it up in GitHub and point them to it.
Okay.
And the visualization of the tracking system, which is actually at the back end, is completed. So based on the visualization and the analysis of the results from the back end, we will get information about the most accessed data set, which is probably what will be displayed. The other two that we may not have time to get to are alerts to new results from saved searches, as well as the working group 9 recommendations. I don't think we'll be able to get to all of them right now. We'll try and see if we can integrate as many as possible. The schema.org metadata work that Firas is doing is completed, and Xiaoling is updating the sitemap. So we've been looking in. So in the last week, Firas and Xiaoling has spent some time to look and see when you search for data sets and give specific keywords, what comes up in Google. Do you guys want to talk about some of the issues that we saw?
One problem is that I submit the sitemap URL to the Google Search Console in April, and then recently I found that Google only indexed like 378 URL in the sitemap, so that's quite low. So I searched that Google were how many URL they were indexed depends on your page rank. So it's increasing, but it's very slow. So I'm not sure how to let Google to increase their index in our website.
One quickly is maybe adding datamat links to other websites.
We have lots of links out to others.
Others linking into us.
Well, and the other question is if the rich metadata, the schema.org metadata, that will affect it as well.
So if we have schema.org tags, the metadata, is there somewhere that we could that we let them know that we have it?
Well, if it's on the page, they'll notice that immediately.
Okay.
But in terms of like letting someone directly know, once we have the final sort of version out, we can send email to Natasha Noy at Google.
Okay.
Right, and then other people click, they will increase.
Yeah, she indicated that if she knows, then she can point directly the search to a certain site. So having the sitemap is also useful for them, with the indication of how frequent the updates are and these kind of things.
Okay. I think I have Natasha's email. Okay. So also, I think on Monday I received the link out stats. I think last month in May there was only one click from link out to DataMed. But hey, we don't have that many anyways that we've linked out. So I know, and in terms of having, as Ergin suggested, having other links from other websites or places, I've asked, so Ram and Nina made a list of various bioinformatics and other forums where we could go in and post maybe some information about DataMed. And I think right now we have links for DataMed from BioCaddy, and also we've got some traffic in from NIH.
Most of them are from biocaddy.org.
Yeah, most of them is from biocaddy.org, though, for now. So that's about it. Is there anything else that we should talk about? If not, I think today we'll finish a little early. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.